So here, I'll read about being stressed. We feel stressed when we evaluate environmental demand as beyond our ability to cope successfully. This includes elements of unpredictability, uncontrollability, and feeling overloaded, which is pretty much a description of the life of a rare giver. Stressful situations cause both physiological and psychological reactions. However, regardless of how strongly our body responds to stress, increases in heart rate and cortisol, our emotional reaction is more tied to our cognitive assessment of whether we can cope with the situation than to how our body is reacting. I found this really interesting because I always assumed that my emotions responded to my body freaking out. But really, my emotions are responding to my thinking assessment of how well I can handle something. So, we see this, right? We see this, the mind starts running and then the body starts freaking out. We start following a pathway, a scary, dark pathway. It's also called catastrophic thinking. And then our body freaks out. Just as getting in and out of the weeds is a part of every wait staff shift in a restaurant, navigating stressors is a daily part of living. However, daily stress can take a toll. In fact, chronic exposure to stressors can be detrimental to health. High levels of perceived stress have been shown to correlate with more rapid aging, decreased immune function, greater inflammatory processes, less sleep, and poorer health behaviors. I'll just read a little bit about overwhelm. Overwhelmed. If stress is like being in the weeds, feeling overwhelmed is like being blown. Overwhelm means an extreme level of stress and emotional and or cognitive intensity to the point of feeling unable to function. I love this definition of overwhelmed from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Completely overcome or overpowered by thought or feeling. So that's really what I'd love to talk about today is, it's like when we become completely overwhelmed by our thoughts can really mess with us. So this is why we practice meditation. So we cultivate a degree of agency over our thoughts, of mastery over the mind. So with that, let's begin with meditation. So just closing your eyes. Make yourself comfortable. Find yourself in your seat. You can also lay down if today is a day that the body wants to lay down. I invite you to go right ahead and do that. Just breathing and letting yourself align with the breath. The breath can be a wonderful tool for coming out of stress. It can interrupt stressful moments, stressful reactions, and kind of curtail overwhelm. So just really sensing your breath. That your breath anchors you into the present moment. You can notice where the breath is flowing. If you're breathing in and out through the nose, maybe the breath is cooler on the inhale, warmer on the exhale. And if your thoughts are tugging at your sleeves, like being a school teacher with a classroom full of small children of differing abilities, all wanting your attention at the same time, just come back to the breath. Come back to the breath so that you can be present with yourself. You can notice if it feels good to take a deep breath and then give yourself that as a gift, a nice deep breath. This breath is inviting you to be present right here and include everything that's happening, all the sensations, sounds, feelings. The breath invites you to be with what's here, to be with what's here, rather than to follow it and spin around with it, make meaning of it. Just notice the distinction for yourself, letting everything slow down. Just take your time. Feel yourself at the effect of a few minutes of sitting quietly, noticing the breath. And then as you're ready, you can open your eyes and just reflect on your experience. Were you able to focus on your breath and be with a feeling rather than following the feeling? Or did you follow the feeling? Just notice without judgment. So we'll journal for a few minutes and then come back together. Just taking a little bit longer to complete whatever you're writing. And then we'll come back.